part of the NextGen NZ Championship, and this is a celebration of a class in New Zealand motorsport. When you talk to any of the greats that have come through Formula Atlantic, they just light up when you begin to reminisce about this class. We have the Grand Prix coming up a little bit later today. This is race 2 for Formula Atlantic. We have a little issue here, which we'll get to in a moment. Delighted to be joined in commentary once again by a couple of callers who know this class intimately, and a lot of the history of the cars, the competitors in them, the stories from it over the years. John Tomlin and Donald McDonald join us. Good morning to you both. And a little bit of debrief out of yesterday. We had a couple of issues for some cars, but great work, great camaraderie in that paddock until late last night. What a field we have rolling up for race 2 this morning.
Yeah, cheers, Greg. It was certainly, there's a great deal of camaraderie there between those guys. You know, we had about 5 gearboxes out of cars yesterday, and everybody's been helping each other out. We had the night before last, we had Hampton, James Watson drove back to Hampton Downs to get a crown wheel and pinion for Tim Miles. Kenny Smith donated parts to cars as well. These cars are fragile, so you know, we're making sure that they keep going, and it's just the sheer camaraderie amongst the Australians and New Zealanders that's keeping them all running.
But spectacular in sight and sound. The sound is magic. So we get a chance to, because of the history of these machines and the want to preserve them, to look after them, they have a couple of warm-up laps. They'll form up behind the safety car. Let's check out your 6th rent-a-car grid. James Watson, superb job yesterday. He will head this one off from pole position. Caleb Natoa from the outside of the front row. You know him from the Castrol Toyota Formula Regional Oceania Championship in recent years. He's loving this class. Greg Murphy out of position 8, the 4-time Bathurst winner. Kenny Smith, 66 years of racing, and it's like a late teenager back behind the wheel again. We welcome Malcolm Osler from Australia, someone who designed and worked in engineering at the very highest levels of Formula One with BAR, with Jaguar, and more. And the names and the cars, just remarkable. Let's have a little look here.
That's John Pike in the Tiger, and they've obviously got some issues with it.
Which kind of continues the story from yesterday too, doesn't it?
Yeah,
so
yeah. I mean, he had a breakdown yesterday, and I'm not quite sure what the issue was. I haven't had a chance to go in and talk to him, but they were under the back of it this morning when I went through the pits. So hopefully he'll get out there, but. Look for some fireworks up front, because there was Caleb and James were sort of had a disagreement last night.
But it became basically a sprint at the end, didn't it, between the pair of them? A safety car sort of mid-race. Yeah. It bunched the field up, allowed a few others to come through. But boy, Caleb, as we would expect, absolutely pulled the pin and had a real good go, Don, toward the end there, didn't he?
Oh, absolutely. Morning, Rusty. Morning, John. Welcome to everybody. Taupo International Motorsport Park. Fantastic day, fantastic field. Best race for the single-seaters almost yesterday. About ready to go. Let these boys call it. Come back soon.
Lovely. So lights are out on the safety car. Nicely timed, Don. Keep an eye on that blue entry, formerly raced by Jos Verstappen, in the hands of Tim Miles. So Silly. Now, he was due to be starting out of position 3. Our timing monitor lit up because he's in the pit lane. Should have been starting on the 2nd row. We are still getting clearance for a start here. So Caleb Natoa, will he get the jump here, or will it be a repeat? Side by side, iconic cars, magic sound, they're unleashed.
And Watson is going to take the corner first. He will put his nose in front, and Caleb's going to try and get up alongside him. And look for a bit of argy-bargy between these two.
Now this, for the next sequence of corners, puts Natoa on the outside, so Watson will grab the lead.
Oh, look at Gregory Murphy. Picking up 3 places just through that little sequence, running in. Oh, the side-by-side looks like David Leach running as the Thames Welt in there as well. Gregory Murphy, 4th, 5th place. Come out of nowhere, the white car 51, Greg Murphy.
Nice. Kenny Smith's lost a couple of spots. He's gone back there. Gary Rush is up in front of him. So and Brian Hartley there, he's having a bit of an issue further back. So, but back at the front, Natoa's at the front.
He's plucked the lead there in the last sequence of corners from James Watson, heading up into the sweeper for the first time down the main straight. Fantastic drive, that gorgeous liveried car, and it is Caleb Natoa at the front.
A little glimpse of the 27 a moment ago. Gary Rush just ahead of Ken Smith in 9th place. Taupō, little glance at the mirror. Where is Watson, who is absolutely harassing him? Move the line, try and defend as you come down to the final complex of corners. He's brave, he's on the outside. Caleb gets the ideal line through there. A little bit of a lock break for James Watson. It is on between these two.
Certainly is, and Timmy Miles is not far behind in 3rd place. It's fantastic late middle braking there. Big puff of smoke from Taupō as he came through the complex down the front straight once again.
Murphy's picked up another one. Oh, no, he hasn't. No. That's
Had
Peter,
a look, though.
That's Peter Lucas in the RT4. That's the highest place RT4.
Here's your 6th replay. So perfect line for Taupō. Uses a little bit of curb and then a lock break on the change of direction. But he rescues it, saves it, gets off the brake, allows it to roll through the corner. Now he's dropped a car length or two here. Miles in 3rd.
Now I know for a fact that James is, he reckons his car is set up so it comes on later in the race, whereas Caleb has trouble managing his tyres after about first 5 laps. Now Peter Lucas has just fallen on the spot behind Greg Murphy, and here comes Ollie Sench in his only his 2nd ever race and 3rd ever drive in this car.
What a weekend.
Look at the scrap at the tail end of the race. The 7 cars all battling away together, but the battle between Murphy and Peter Lucas looks like it's hotting up nicely. The lead looks like there's a fair gap now. They come down into the complex once again, Rusty. The braking is fantastic through here.
A couple of people in this class, including your race leader, are on double duty, but you alluded to Oliver Sench there a moment ago. He's been running in a Ford Escort, but has been super impressive in this car. And he's chasing the 51 of Greg Murphy at the moment for 5th place. That's Murph there in the white, and you can't miss his trademark helmet colours. There he is.
And he is having handling problems with the car. He's been telling me yesterday that the car's just not responding the way they wanted. They actually took a brand new set of Hoosiers off it and put an older set of Avons on it, and it's gone better for some strange reason. They just don't know why.
I think they're both closing in on Tim Miles. They're certainly making ground through the front straight round turn 1 and 2, and we'll just watch them through the back of the complex. But there's no doubt about the leader. He's got about 4 or 5 car lengths over James Watson. Now James got to find something pretty special, I think.
Oliver looks closer here. What a weekend Murph is having from a driving perspective. 4th at the moment in this one, but yesterday at lunch cut laps in the famous Yardley McLaren and then jumped straight out of that into an Audi DTM car, if you don't mind.
Yeah, this is sort of covering all 3 bases here, isn't he? But now the young Ollie, now this is a kid who 5 weeks ago said to me, I don't think I want to do the Grand Prix until I've had a couple of races because I don't feel comfortable with this car.
Are you kidding?
No.
He's more than capable based on what we're seeing here.
And it's one of his heroes in front of him, and he's not battling with him. So reminds me actually a little bit of
look at Greg work, dodging head to head, looking the mirrors, left, right, where's Ollie, and it's certainly on between the two of them. They're coming down once again into the complex. There's Tim Miles still holding 3rd, but Ollie's right in behind Greg Murphy once more. Another good battle in the 4th, 5th and 6th place.
Peter Lucas is doing a great job there in a Rolt RT4, which really has no business being that far up the field amongst the Swifts and the Reynards and the late model Rolts, and he's sitting there quite comfortably in about, where is he? He's back in 6th position at the moment. Kenny Smith just behind him in 7th.
Now that's Malcolm Osler there in the 71 on our slow-mo replay. Car getting a little bit loose. Caleb Taupō with a 1:23.9, fastest lap of the race. Taupō is flying at the moment, has an advantage of over a second on James Watson. Miles has a little bit of breathing space. Someone's off there.
Who's that? Let's see if we can pick that up. That's Tom Chapman in the March 88. So that's actually an early ground effect car, that one.
Probably worth explaining to our viewers as well. We have divisions, if you like, Atlantic A, B and C, and just what that means, because the A-class cars are the flat bottom cars, the earlier generation machines, aren't they?
Do you want to do that, Don? You've been around these things for a few years. What's the difference between the 3 classes?
Oh, now you've got me.
All right, okay.
No, the big question. The flat bottom cars and the ground effect cars are the later model ones, and we've got from 1974 right through to 93, the Reynards with the big anti-type nose, and the DB4 Routs and the Swifts, very, very similar looking, nice wedgy little style side pods, and just the difference in the handling, really. The horsepower much the same, gearboxes are the same. Drivers are a little bit different in the age as well. That doesn't matter. They're all having a great time out there, but it is just, here we go, some numbers now for you.
23.6. Taupō is flying.
Oh, what's that about, Rusty? He's just right on it, isn't he?
Yeah, so
Here he is.
knowing Watson, I know exactly what he's doing. He's just sitting there waiting for Caleb's tyres to go away from him. And but just back to what we're talking about with the Group A, B and C. A is the flat bottom cars. They have no ground effects on them at all. B is the early Marches, the 80As and the Rolt RT4s. They are an early ground effect car. And then we've basically Group C is the Swift DB4s, and the Rolt RT40 and the Reynolds. Now, when those cars came out, they made the Rolt RT4s obsolete overnight. So basically, you've got three different groups there.
So they're newer, in generation. And just to put it into perspective for you, the top 5 cars, all Atlantic Cs, the kind of newer generation machines, aren't they?
So just one point, though, Rusty, worth mentioning, read the flat-bottom cars. They're actually faster down the straights than the later model cars. The reason being they don't have that ground effect that's sucking them down on the road. So they are just a lot faster in a straight line. But they have to brake a lot earlier and they're a lot slower through the corners. Smithy's got past.
He's ahead
Rush.
of Gary Rush. Look at him go. 66 years of racing. Can you believe it for Kenny Smith? He was part of and a very focal point of a special gathering of legends that we had here last night at the end of day one of the event. Craig Baird was there, Paul Radisich was there, you name it, Steve Millen, and Roberto Moreno, the reminiscing about this class and some of the things. David Brabham spoke so fondly about coming here in the late 80s and so on.
Yeah, so, I mean, the thing is, I think this was the longest running, apart from the Toyota Racing Series, but in all fairness, Toyota Racing Series have had 3 different models over the last 20 years. The Atlantics ran from 1977
to 93.
Yeah, 77 to 93. So, you know, they had a long run here. But Roberto Moreno was, yeah, like that you said last night, he gave us a long and detailed story about his...
we burnt the batteries in 3 microphones. It was very funny. He's quite a storyteller, but it is wonderful to have him here. He speaks so passionately. Back to Greg Murphy. Oliver Sench, he'd been battling with. Now, is Murph having a problem here? Because he's been passed going down the back straight.
Yeah.
The 51, perhaps having some sort of issue. They have been chasing in the early part of the weekend an electrical gremlin in that car, and Gary Orford was personally working with Murph and the crew there to resolve it. I hope it's not that same problem again.
Yeah, Smithy passed Gary Rush. Gary Rush had a moment in the complex there, and so Ken's right up the inside. You don't need to invite that man twice. He said thank you very much, and he's through. You talk about 66 years, Rusty. The I think most impressive thing is the man's 83 years of age. Yeah, we got Murph in the pits. So 83 years of age, and I tell you what, he runs up a flight of stairs faster than I can.
And his stories, the people that he has raced alongside, competed against over the years, the things that he's helped work in the background with in terms of Kiwis making the step, hoping to break into things internationally. He's done some remarkable things off track too,
Absolutely.
Kenny.
Well, you've only got to look at Scotty Dixon,
exactly.
Shane Van Gisbergen, our very own Liam Lawson. He was the star of Liam Lawson getting involved, and Brendan Hartley. He's worked with Brendan Hartley as well, and quite a few of the boys that are currently running in different classes around the world. Kenny's had a hand in just about everything.
Speaking of Brendan Hartley, Brian Hartley is in the 10. There's Gary Ortford there to the right, closest with the glasses going on there now to try and understand what's happening with Murph's car. They're pulled up there in pit lane at the very entry to pit lane near Kiwi Motorsport. A couple of other names, just to quickly, Andrew Miedeke is up to 12th, Malcolm Osler is 13th, Oliver Sench is an amazing 4th, Tim Miles looking like bringing it home in the top 3 once again, but we need to just keep a little watching brief on this. So here's your race leader in the blue and red machine, Caleb Taupō, who's been banking some fast laps, but it's James Watson just 1.4 seconds behind him, and traffic could work in Watson's favour here.
So we have 4 laps left to run at the end of this, and not 2 actually, so we've shortened it obviously, so we're down to
let's also just get an update, I think, on Murph. Let's go to Stephen McIver.
Yeah, just briefly, as you said, he's been chasing the 51 car all weekend. Fuel surge issues. That's what they're working on right now.
Thank you.
Because that actually is Gary Orton's car. He owns that car. And so now look at this. Watson's been hanging back. I told you he'd come late, and here he comes down the inside. He's moving around. He's trying to really psych out young Caleb. So they get the last lap flag. Will they get this time?
Gary Orton does an amazing job there, doesn't he? Hopefully they can resolve that car for the Grand Prix this afternoon. Meanwhile, Taupō and Watson. So has Watson, as you said, played the waiting game here and just seen what happens in relation to the tyres for Taupō, who went hard in the early part of this race. Time is running out. Watson might be ideally placed here. Miles in third. Where is Oliver Sench in relation to that? So that could be a little battle to keep an eye on, the fight for third place as well.
Yeah, there's not a lot of difference between those two, but we've got these two on the camera at the moment. Let's keep an eye on it, because I think Watson had a moment, though, coming out of turn one, and he's dropped a couple of spots. So unless he can pick something up through this part of the track, he is fast through this part of the track. So unless he can pick something up at the top here, and get onto Taupō's tail. He's closing through that corner. He's very fast through that part of the track.
It's a similar kind of gap between Sench and Miles, who are a little bit further back from this group. This pairing of Taupō and Watson have quite an advantage as they run down the back straight, stretch the legs on the Formula Atlantics.
And
last lap board, I think. So we're not far from home. So they'll get the last lap board this time around. There you go. You can see the team here at Taupō International Motorsport Park. 1 to go. Little lock break from Watson. That's how hard he's trying.
He's not going to give this one up yet. So I think he might have decided to make his run late. He's actually a bit of a master of the psychology game, is young James. He does it in Formula Open all the time, and he's very, very good. Yeah, look, here we go. He's going to have a run down the outside, down into 7. He's going to let Taupō know he's there. Taupō's trying to move wide on him, and he's going to pinch it. So he'll stay right under the wing now of Taupō. He's actually faster through turn 9 than Taupō is, and we'll see what happens when they get to the top of the track, whether he makes a dive into the last corner or whether he's going to do it on the straight.
Oh, it's the complex. Look for the complex, boys. That's where it's going to happen, if it's going to happen anywhere.
Well, he got wheel to wheel with Taupō there a moment ago to let him know. Here we go. Final corner. Caleb keeps it kind of mid-track, gets a little sideways out of the top turn. That might hurt him. They're side by side. Watson looks to his right. How close is Taupō? Now, Watson should be ideally placed to get the line through the final complex of corners. What a wait. What a moment. What can Caleb do here? They go side by side. Watson should have it. It's going to be a drag race to the line. It'll be a photo finish.
Oh,
he gets there.
Just barely gets it.
Caleb Taupō will get there by 0.03 of a second. What a run to the line. What a fight between those two.
We've still got the next two to come in. Where are they? Here they come. Down to the complex now, and it is, who is it? It is going to be Tim Miles. Is going to hold off Ollie Sench for the third and fourth. Here they come onto the front straight now.
Tim's rear wing doesn't look right. That's why he's been struggling.
Yes.
So he's actually done quite a good job there to keep Oliver Sench at bay, because that's sitting at an awkward angle. Something's wrong with the rear wing in that car. Gentlemen, what a taste test for us for the Grand Prix this afternoon.
Hey, I've never seen 3 commentators all stand up in symphony. That was just fantastic.
That was an incredible race for the boys. Oh, hang on, here's Smithy.
Kenny, 6th. He equals what he did yesterday.
Yeah.
Another masterful performance from Kenny Smith.
Considering he started in 11th, that's not a bad effort from the old boy.
Unbelievable.
So Ken is...
Brian Hartley gets 9th. Andrew Miedeke 10th in that car, which has been a showpiece for some decades in the dealership in Australia, and at the urgency and the insistence of Malcolm Osler, they restored that car. He's back behind an open wheeler and loving it. Here we go, some highlights. You'll struggle with this because there's so much action. Early on, Taupō gets by Watson. Showed incredible form. Greg Murphy was racy, up into the top 4 in the 51 before some problems would strike that car, and he would ultimately, I think with fuel pressure issues, return to the lane. Gary Orton would be there. The crew from Kiwi Motorsport, they would...
What you've got to remember, Rusty, is these cars are really only about a second and a half, if not even that, off of the Seacrop cars.
Well, and I think Caleb Natoa is reminding us of his single-seater form in what he's doing in this car. He's clearly having a great time, as you rightly say. The lap times that he's turning and that Watson is doing, not all that different from the CT Frogcast. What an unbelievable final lap. It started in the hairpin. Watson, in fact, a couple of corners beforehand had showed him a wheel. They went all the way to the line for a photo finish. 0.03 in the end in favour of Natoa.
So this is going to be an interesting conversation at the end of this one.
Look top right of your screen here. Good friend of Caleb Natoa. He's in the house, ladies and gentlemen. Liam Lawson is here. That's for the fans trackside, and for those of you watching on the Stuff Speed Hub right around the world, the Red Bull racing driver congratulates his good friend on taking out race 2 of the Formula Atlantic. Stephen McIver standing by there as Tim Miles comes into NextGen victory lane. Couple of guys who really enjoy their racing and appreciating that moment. That was a classic fight.
Oh, I'll tell you what, that's the best one I've seen all weekend.
And we still have the good news for those of you watching. We've got a big afternoon of coverage coming your way live here from Taupō. The historic Grand Prix still to come for Formula Atlantic. Some good races for the Castrol Toyota Formula Regional Oceania Championship, including the feature. But hasn't that just set the tone for the weekend? You can see that angled rear wing for Tim Miles in the ex-Jos Verstappen car. Final results for you. Race 2 of Formula Atlantic. A photo finish. A nail-biter going the way of Caleb Natoa. James Watson second. Tim Miles gets another top 3 place. He'll be revved. He'll be chuffed with that. Oliver Sench, a stunning drive to 4th place. And Peter Lucas rounds out the top 5. But look at the name just behind him there. Kenny Smith.
Mr. Ken Smith, MBE.
Love it.
And he started in 11th.
Dramas for the Murphy car. Hopefully they can iron that out. Gary will be hands-on with that car and they'll get it right, hopefully for the GP this afternoon. And Ethan Stillay, who was meant to start from the lane, returned there with some dramas. Let's go to victory lane, Stephen. What a race.
Mate, that sets us up for the 6th Rent-A-Car Historic Grand Prix. We are in for a special Sunday here in Taupō. Caleb Natoa almost blew it at turn 11. What happened?
Yeah, I don't know why, but the last 3 laps, the car kept jumping down to 2nd gear, so I was having to hold it into gear while trying to drive and everything. And so it's a bit of a shame, but we'll get that fixed, and hopefully it'll be all right for the final.
I mean, those early laps, they're going toe-to-toe, and then you sort of got a good distance about him, second and a half, and then he comes back. What did you think about that? Did you think you had him at that distance?
No, honestly, I think I kind of got out in front and just thought I'd save the tyre, and I think he had the same idea. And then the lap traffic really tightens it all up, and then we had a good fight for the end. And when it popped out of gear in the last corner, I thought, oh shit, and then he chucked it up the inside, and it was close. But I mean, it's good for the fans, and everybody enjoys it, so that's the main thing.
Mate, it's enormous entertainment, but to think you're you're in a good position to win a trophy that Denny Holmes, Sir Jack Brabham, David Oxton was the last to receive it. It's going to be a big old day.
Yeah, no, it'll be a big day, and I mean, I'm really enjoying driving the car, and huge thanks to PJ and Hayden from GVI.Kiwi and all the team for running the car. I'm really enjoying it, and I just hope they have a good shot.
Nice to see Liam around too.
Yeah, no, it's good to see Liam here. It's good to see all the people supporting him. I mean, massive congrats on what he's doing. It's huge for New Zealand motorsport, and it's good to have a mate here and, just see him hanging around.
I thought you said the crowd was for you.
Oh, I thought it was, but obviously you're all there for Liam Lawson, which is fair enough. I mean, he's a bit of a big deal, so good on him.
Yeah, that's good. Well done on P1. Let's